Good morning, everyone. I am so happy to see you again. Today, to celebrate the month of October, we are going to make a full autumn afternoon tea. Here's the menu. We're doing turkey and cheddar tea sandwiches, egg salad sandwiches, my best scones, and pumpkin bars with cream cheese frosting. I think it will be a delicious afternoon tea. And we're going to start with the pumpkin bars, so I need to preheat my oven to 350 degrees Fahrenheit, which is 180 degrees Celsius. Then I need my 15 by 10 by 1 inch baking tray. I'm going to line it with parchment, but I'm going to crumple the parchment first so that the parchment will cooperate when I place it in the tray. Done. And we can put this aside. I will post the recipe for these pumpkin bars in the description box below. So in a large bowl, I need 2 cups of all-purpose flour, this recipe is written in cups and tablespoons and whatnot, so I'm not weighing anything today. Flour goes back. Then I need 1 teaspoon of baking powder, 1 teaspoon of baking soda, 1 tablespoon or 3 teaspoons of pumpkin pie spice. I also need roughly 3/4 of a teaspoon of salt. And we just give this a whisk. One of the nice things about this recipe is that you don't need any special equipment. No stand mixer, no electric beaters. And that is good and mixed. Let me grab my wet ingredients. And here are the wet ingredients that we can combine in a medium-sized bowl. The recipe calls for 1 cup of canola oil. I'm using avocado oil. Anticipation. 3/4 of a cup of regular granulated sugar. And the same amount, 3/4 of a cup of light brown sugar. I'm going to give this a whisk. 2 teaspoons of vanilla extract. This is the vanilla extract that you and I made together in September of 2024. We made it as, well, for homemade Christmas gifts. So this has been steeping for a long time, and it smells divine. Then I need 3 large eggs. My friends, I don't think there are enough adjectives to describe how amazing this cake turned out. This recipe is a keeper. And beat this with the whisk. I'm going to set my whisk over here for a moment. And then the final ingredient is pumpkin puree from a 15-ounce can. I'm going to first stir this in with a spatula. Then I'm going to attack it with my whisk. So we want this super well blended. There we are. Then we add the wet ingredients to the dry and whisk everything to combine. This batter smells just incredible, and it will smell even better once it has baked. Now my oven has almost achieved 350. So we can go ahead and pour the batter into the parchment lined pan. I'm going to use my offset spatula to spread this batter out as evenly as I can. This batter goes into the oven until a skewer inserted in the center comes out clean. That will take anywhere from 25 to 30 minutes. Our cake is done. It smells just fantastic. Now, I have to let this cool for about 5 minutes, then we can unmold it. Okay, this cake has been cooling. Let's see if we can unmold it now. Peel off the parchment. And then I want to invert it onto this rack. And there it is. Now we have to let the cake cool completely before we can frost it. And while we wait for that to happen, we can start making the scones. I will link the recipe for these scones in the description below. This way, you won't have to write anything down. To start, I put flour, salt, baking powder, and sugar in the bowl of my stand mixer and give them a quick stir to combine. Then I add cold diced butter and run the mixer at low speed until the mixture turns crumbly. Then I add buttermilk and beaten eggs, and I mix at medium speed until the dough comes together. And there we are. Now I want to use my marble board here. I'm going to dust it with some flour. Now I know that a lot of people in America say scone instead of scone, but scone is I think the traditional pronunciation for these little breads. It's Scottish. And it doesn't matter if you say scone or scone. Scrape off my spatula. Add a little more flour. And then I'm going to knead this just until the dough turns fairly smooth. And you just knead it very gently. Now you would think that making scone dough in a stand mixer would produce tough scones, but these scones are not tough at all. But they are firm enough to handle mountains of clotted cream or creme fraiche and strawberry jam. Then I want to cover this dough with a damp towel and let the dough rest for about 15 minutes to relax the gluten. And while we wait for that to happen, I'm going to wash my mixing bowl and everything else by hand. Also, I need to boost the oven temperature to 375 degrees Fahrenheit or 190 degrees Celsius. I'm going to bake some of the scones today, and the rest I will freeze for later. If you have scones in your freezer, you can invite people for afternoon tea on the spur of the moment. Now we need to roll out the dough. My dough has rested, so it should be very easy to roll out. I'm rolling this to a thickness of about 3/4 of an inch. This dough is very easy to work with. Let's check this. That's about right. I want to put a little flour over here so I can flour my 2-inch diameter cutter. And I know I have said this many times, but I will say it again. When you cut out scones, press straight down. Don't twist the cutter. If you twist, the cutter will crimp the edge, and then the scones won't rise to their full potential. And the remaining scones can go on this parchment lined tray, which will go into the freezer. And once the scones are solidly frozen, I will transfer them to a Ziploc bag. I'm going to gather my scraps and roll out another batch. Now, to help these scones brown in the oven, I'm going to brush them with a beaten egg, to which I will whisk in just a small splash of buttermilk. So I have 4 scones to bake, and 1, 2, 3, and 11 scones that will go into the freezer. And I'm going to bake these scones in the preheated oven until they puff and brown lightly, 15 to 20 minutes. And while we wait for the scones to bake, I'm going to pop these into the freezer, put away my buttermilk, and then we can make the frosting for our pumpkin bars. I'm going to use my stand mixer again to make the cream cheese frosting for the pumpkin bars. So I need softened cream cheese. So that's 8 ounces of cream cheese. And then I need 2 tablespoons of softened butter. I overly softened mine in the microwave, but it will work out just fine. And I want to beat the butter and cream cheese until they turn light and fluffy. This is light and fluffy now. So I want to add a splash of pure vanilla extract, a pinch of salt. The salt will balance out the sweetness. And 3 cups of confectioner's sugar. And I'm not sifting the confectioner's sugar because I think this paddle attachment will do that work. We can let it rip. This is a stunningly beautiful frosting. Oh, and my scones are ready. Scones look absolutely gorgeous. They really puffed up and they've turned golden on top. So I'm going to set these aside to cool. And then back to our frosting. We need to spread this over the pumpkin bar cake. You know I have to taste this. I love the tang that cream cheese gives what would otherwise be a buttercream frosting. We can put my friend away over here. See if you will slide off cooperatively. Yes, you will. This is a soft cake, but it's also a very sturdy cake. And we can put a heaping helping of the frosting right on top of this cake. The frosting alone could be my dinner tonight. Now, the recipe I'm following calls for candied pumpkin seeds, or pepitas, to garnish the cake with, but I'm the laziest person in the world, so I am not going to make candied pepitas, but I will garnish the cake with, I think, some gold sprinkles or some gold, I think it's called sanding sugar. It's a coarse sugar with a sparkle. Now, you could cut this cake into bars or really any shape you want. I'm going to try to cut mine into little rounds. And then we can put those rounds on the top tier of this cake stand or tea stand. It worked. Oh, but I still have to sugar the top. I completely forgot to put the gold sugar on here. This is the sugar that you and I bought together at the Mennonite store, I think about a year ago. Gold, after all, is one of the colors of autumn. I think we may have to make another trip to that Amish general store. They have an unbelievable amount of baking supplies in just a teeny tiny location. It's a fun place to shop. Oh, and I should put some sugar on this little round that we cut out. And we can put this round right up here. These look mighty pretty at the top of our cake stand. And my friends, I do have to try one of these for you. This I can only describe as screamingly delicious. I love the spices in the cake. I love the soft but firm texture of the cake. The cream cheese frosting, what can I say? It's utter perfection. And there's a crunch from the little gold crystals that we put on top. Just divine. And here is a cake for Lisette to try. Does it make you go weak in the knees?
Yeah.
Me too.
This is incredible.
It's perfection. You guys, I hope you will give this a try. Lisette just said she doesn't feel guilty eating this because it's such a small portion. And that's the nice thing about afternoon tea. It's mostly carbs, but everything is on the small side. I'm going to put the rest of this cake into the refrigerator, and it will somehow be enjoyed at some point very soon. And we can put the scones on the middle rung of this three-tiered stand. And I will add some creme fraiche or clotted cream and strawberry jam to this afternoon tea. On to the sandwiches. Now I'm doing turkey and cheddar cheese on white bread and egg salad and baby spinach leaves on whole wheat bread. And this is just store-bought bread. And I'm going to roll it out just to make it thinner. Tea sandwiches should always have very thin slices of bread. I was going to do cucumber sandwiches too, but we've made cucumber sandwiches so many times. I wanted a change. Then I want to butter each slice of bread. The butter acts as a seal so that the sandwich is not soggy. And you can butter the bread as lightly or as heavily as you like. Personally, I have no issues with heavily buttered bread. And here is the turkey. This is very thinly sliced turkey. And then the cheddar cheese, which I bought already sliced. Close the sandwiches. And cut off the crust. I'm using my very nice Japanese bread knife here. And all of these scrap pieces will make a terrific midnight snack. I never throw the scraps away. And then I think we will cut these into triangles. And these can go on the bottom tier of the three-tiered stand. Here's the brown bread, and I'm going to do the same thing. I will roll out each piece just to make it thinner than it currently is. And once again, I need to butter each slice. This is some egg salad that I made the other day. Just to jazz it up a little, I'm going to add some mango chutney. Mango chutney is what I use for coronation chicken tea sandwiches, and I think it might be very nice with egg salad. And there we have it. Tea for 2 or 3 or 4. I'm going to get cleaned up here, brew some tea, and then we can head into the music room. And for this afternoon tea, I think we should enjoy orange spice tea. To the tea table. Lizette will join me for tea in just a moment, and then my spouse will join us. My spouse, who does not wish to be on camera. And a sip. Cheers. It's wonderful tea. It's very fragrant. I have already tasted of the sandwiches. I have already tasted of the ridiculously delicious pumpkin dessert, and I really hope you will try this dessert someday. So let's have a scone. These scones pull apart very easily. And then I have some cream over here, which I put on my plate, not directly on the scone, and some of the wonderful strawberry jam that you and I made together last June during the height of strawberry season. And I'm just thinking, I may cave and eat another one of these pumpkin desserts. But first, the scone. I'm going to break off a piece, the cream, little jam, these scones are so easy to make, but they are amazingly delicious. They are soft and moist. You can pull them apart very easily. They do not crumble all over the place, as American scones typically do. And again, they are firm enough to hold up to tons of cream and jam. I just love them. Now, before I eat anything else, let me just tell you how grateful I am every day that you are willing to spend some time with me. I really appreciate you and your company. And with that said, I am going to have another dessert. So the recipe calls these pumpkin bars, but I think I will call them pumpkin rounds because we cut them into round shapes. This recipe is a definite keeper. I will make these pumpkin rounds year after year after year. So delicious. Thank you so much for joining me today as we put together this very simple and definitely delicious, and also make-ahead afternoon tea with an autumn theme. And autumn is certainly the time for dinner parties, so in the next video, I'm planning to do a multi-course dinner party menu, and I hope you will watch. And until then, please treat yourself very, very well. Please make these pumpkin rounds, or squares, or bars, and I can't wait to see you next time. Cheers, my friends.